Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. In this channel, you're gonna learn a lot of things about decentralized finance, about XRP, and today we're gonna be talking about XRP. And for those of you who don't know what XRP is, or some of you who know very little about what XRP, we're gonna explain everything from what is the difference between Ripple and XRP, what does their decentralized finance network look like, what's in future store for XRP, and some really exciting news out of Dubai that you're not going to want to miss. I'm going to put that one for last because it is some big news that I think could cause XRP to spike all the way up to $12. Let's get into this. All right, so first and foremost, how does XRP work? So a lot of people mistake XRP for Ripple, which we're going to get into here in a few seconds. But the way that XRP, the cryptocurrency, has a use case is you have, let's say, a sending institution that's going to be sending dollars to, let's say, another country that receives their money in their currency as opposed to dollars. So they'll receive their currency and then they'll have that money in that receiving institution, and then you'll have it go to the beneficiaries. So what happens between here and here? Well, what happens is this dollar is converted into XRP and then zoomed across the XRP network and then converted into the local currency that receives the money. And then once that money is received, it goes to the institutions, and then it's able to get split up into, an individual, a business, or, some payment that needed to be done in regards to that, entity or individual that needed to be paid for that. So this is the way XRP works. It's pretty simple. Again, you buy XRP using your dollars, that gets zoomed across the XRP network, and then it gets converted into the currency that is local, and then it gets sent to the institution, and then it gets sent to its beneficiaries. Now, what's cool is every single time there is a transaction like this, a little bit of XRP is burned, and it's now like gone forever. So it starts to shrink the supply. Unlike, let's say, Bitcoin, which, once we get up to 21 million Bitcoin and all that Bitcoin has been mined, then that's it. It's not going to have more Bitcoin or less Bitcoin. It's only going to have 21 million Bitcoin. But XRP will actually go down in terms of its circulating supply over time. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the difference between XRP and Ripple. Even though there's a whole bunch of similarities here, but you can see here that they're two very different websites. So you have XRP Ledger and you have Ripple. Ripple basically just gives you the rails, and I'll show you a demonstration of it, for a bank to send money or an institution to send money, not having to use XRP. So it's just using their blockchain to send value, okay? Where Ripple is actually using the cryptocurrency to send the value, and it's actually burning it in the process. So it gives XRP an actual use case where Ripple has nothing to do with XRP. So here's the way basically RippleNet works. So you have the senders, so institutions, banks, or any sort of money transmitter sends it over through the Ripple network, and it would just go directly to the beneficiaries, which is really cool. You can receive, let's say dollars or euros or whatever on their phone in their business, or some family receives this money. Okay, now the cool thing is either Ripple or XRP are going to be saving people a tremendous amount of money and a tremendous amount of time, because we have like the alternative, which is Western Union, and Western Union basically charges an arm and a leg to send money. Like, look at this. 50 up to $0 to $50, $13 fee. So if I send like $13 to somebody, they can charge me up to $100. And even so, like $13 to send 50, that's pretty steep. Here you've got $14 to send up to $100. That's 14%. Now, a lot of people that are sending money to these places, like to whatever, Latin America, from America or whatever, they don't have like access to crypto. They don't have access to these more sophisticated systems yet. So what do? They go to Western Union. They literally have to go to this place. They have to, deposit that money there with them. Then they send it. It takes a day or so to get over to that person. Then that person on the receiving end has to go to Western Union and they give them money. Well, that's really solved here. I mean, you can basically send money for fractions of a penny And what ends up happening is these people receive their money in near instant time, which is amazing. So Western Union, things like Western Union, PayPal. I remember one time I was living in Russia and I ended up, because I didn't have a bank account in Russia, I ended up sending my now wife some money so that I could have some money to spend in Russia. And I went from PayPal US to PayPal Russia, and it took 5 days to get there. It was insane, guys and gals. So this is going to be like way, way faster. And by the way, the long and the short of that story was that after that, I only sent crypto to her, and using her Binance account, she was able to get it to her bank account in near instant time as well. So Western Union, things like PayPal, these things are going out of style here. And honestly, they better get with it. Otherwise, they're going to be out of business, just like, Blockbuster Video was. Okay, so now what are tokenomics? Tokenomics is basically like how much is in the circulating supply, meaning like how much is like free out in the wild when it comes to XRP, or how much, is locked up, in this case with XRP, to have something called escrow. How much is their total supply? Meaning how many XRP will there ever be? See, you need to know this, because if you don't know this, what can happen, and what's happened so many times in crypto land, is that people get super diluted. Like the Trump coin, right? 80% of Trump coin is still not out in circulating supply. It's being held by Trump. So if Trump were to just take all those coins and flood them into the market, it would probably crash the price of Trump coin. But so here, XRP, they have something pretty cool. So I've put this chart up for you. So where is the actual XRP right now? Well, in terms of circulating supply, right now there's 42.8 billion XRP out there in the wild with you guys. You're holding it. You got it in your centralized exchange or in your wallet, and that's where it is. It's just out, ready to buy and sell. Okay. Ripple holds 6.7 billion of that circulating supply. Okay. And then the rest is in what's called escrow. And that's at about 50.4 billion XRP. And I'm going to explain to you what happens. But total, including all of this here, which is all the XRP that's ever going to be in existence, there is 99.9 billion XRP. Okay. Now, we've got this stuff here in terms of the escrow release. This was a question I had. Like, how does this escrow get released? Does it just get, boom, released all in one lump sum, or does it drip out? Well, here's the way it works. So Ripple Labs unlocks 1 billion XRP from escrow on the first of each month. Now, here's the thing. This was designed in 2017 to ensure a predictable and transparent supply. But after each release, and this is the key thing right here, 60 to 70% is typically relocked into new escrow contracts. So that means they take the stuff that they don't actually use, and then they put it back into the escrow account. So that's why we haven't seen the whole escrow been burnt out. Okay. Now, what does XRP use this money for escrow for? They use it for operational expenses, ecosystem investments, and liquidity provisioning. And, XRP is really well known for its deep liquidity. That's what's, the big deal. Meaning they're going to have this RLUSD that probably will come through the sale of some XRP, but it'll give XRP more value over time. So the monthly unlocks are expected to continue until 2027. Now, this is what's going to help stabilize the XRP token so that it just doesn't go down. And this is a big reason why, we probably haven't seen XRP head up to $12, $10. However, the cool thing is that every single time XRP is used on their network, again, like I was saying earlier, a little bit is burned, and that's going to decrease this supply of 99.99 billion over time. But they're going to have to do a lot of burning in order to really start chipping away at that, because so far, not too many people are using the XRP network to transfer value yet. Okay, let's talk about something that's really important as well. So, a lot of people are like, well, how fast is XRP? Is it the fastest blockchain in the world? No, it's not. There are faster blockchains out there, but they do have a pretty good transaction speed compared to the other giants, right? XRP does 1,500 transactions per second, which is still less than Visa, but I'm sure XRP is working on lifting that. And then compared to Bitcoin, which is horrible. If you've ever used Bitcoin, I mean, you're like biting your nails waiting for your Bitcoin to go over the network. I remember my first time I did it, I'm like, oh my gosh, is this Bitcoin ever going to make it to my wallet? But you can see here, it's 3.3 to 7 transactions per second, which is uber slow. And again, if you've ever used the network, it's really, really bad. Now, Bitcoin maxis will sit there and tell you, yeah, but Lightning Network is, it's kind of easy, but it's kind of not. Okay, you got to like bridge it over to the Lightning Network, and it like a whole other ledger. It's kind of a hard thing. You know, XRP, just bam, you don't need to deal through all this bridging and sending it here and native Bitcoin and Lightning Network. Ugh. Anyways, and then we've got Ethereum, which is 20 to 30 transactions per second. Way better than Bitcoin, but still not really good. And to be quite honest with you, like Ethereum has done a lot better. Like it really doesn't take more than like a minute or two to get your Ethereum. It's way better than the 30 minutes or 40 minutes you're waiting for Bitcoin. Now, what does it cost to send each one of these transactions? Well, you can see here, Ripple is not even a penny. It's 0.002. Bitcoin, very expensive, $1.47. And then Ethereum is not too far behind with an average transaction of $1.43. The only thing that distinguishes, you know, Bitcoin from Ethereum is Ethereum's definitely much faster, and you can just build more. It's got more layer twos. It's way more scalable than Bitcoin. This is why we look at Bitcoin as kind of like, I don't know, like the store of value. That's what, let's just call it that. Okay, so let's talk about some of the real exciting things coming to XRP. So this is their XRP Ledger, which is like, you know, even like Ethereum, you have Ethereum, the token, and then you have the Ethereum network, which is the blockchain that the rails that the trains run on. Okay. So you can take a look here. These are all the things that they're going to have in this DeFi XRP Ledger. So they're going to have decentralized exchanges. So you can like buy and sell cryptocurrencies peer-to-peer. You're going to have cross-currency payments. You're going to have payment channels. You're going to have access to different types of tokens on there. So you'll be able to like buy Ethereum, Bitcoin, all that on the XRP network. And then you have like security stuff like multi-signing, which I'm not going to get into. But here's the really cool thing. You're going to have AMMs, which this is really big for us people that are in DeFi, because you're going to be able to actually put up your crypto so people can use it to buy and sell, and you become the institution like the NASDAQ. You're part of the exchange, and you make those fees at the end of the day, which is really, really cool. Here's another really cool thing. You'll be able to bridge different fiat currencies onto the XRP network, and you're going to be basically tokenizing these fiat currencies, which is going to bridge traditional finance with decentralized finance. You're also going to have side chains. So you're going to be able to do a lot of things in terms of like bridging from like the Polkadot network, the Ethereum network, the Bitcoin network, all sorts of networks all into the XRP network, which we've been doing in DeFi for a long time, but this is a big milestone for XRP. Now, don't always believe everything you read, but this is a really, really big thing. So we have this Flare Networks is becoming the place in DeFi fast, and for no good reason. And one of the biggest reasons, so Flare Network, they're going to be having fully backed USDT. This was like a really big deal because you're not going to have like these wrappers or derivatives of USDT floating around. It's going to be actual USDT, but they're going to be able to bridge that into XRP. And the cool thing is you're going to see here, so XRP Fi, which is what they're calling it, is right around the corner. And this was from just a few days ago, where XRP users are going to be able to lend, borrow, yield farm, and more. So they're going to get access to a lot of this DeFi using Flare. This was some hype here in the last few days in regards to XRP, but they're going to basically be getting access to this, 120 billion in DeFi. And I can guarantee you, like a lot of the XRP maxis, the XRP army, they don't have access to DeFi. A lot of them don't even know DeFi really exists. But once we're out there and we're teaching them how to access this liquidity, you're going to start to see even more liquidity come into DeFi because of XRP. And especially since all the blockchains can talk now, this is some big deal. Guys, gals, before I get into the juiciest part of this video, I want you to do me a favor and smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and turn that notification button on, because that helps support this channel so I can keep bringing you all of this alpha, so you can keep learning about things like XRP and stablecoins and where the next hot narrative is going to be. But for now, let's get into the juiciest part of this video. So we've got something really heating up, which is what are called RWAs, real world assets. And just yesterday, Dubai dropped that it's going to be bringing $16 billion worth of tokenized real estate on the XRP Ledger. And this is going to be huge. You can see here, XRP has achieved another impressive milestone with the Dubai Land Department announcement of 16 billion real estate tokenized projects on the XRP Ledger. So that's DeFi, guys. The ledger is DeFi. Now look at this. This is what they're predicting. Crypto analyst Crypto Insight highlighted how bullish this milestone is for the XRP price, predicting that it can be one catalyst that sparks a rally to $12, which would be massive. I mean, by then it would have passed Ethereum by leaps and bounds. So this will mark a new all-time high for the altcoin. Anyways, guys, gals, leave a comment down below if you're excited about XRP. If there's things that I missed out or things that I should talk about XRP, I want to hear from you down below. I'll see you guys on the next video. Hopefully you like this one. Cheers.